All right, and welcome back to the podcast, everyone. So glad that you guys are tuning in. Those of you who are new to the podcast, we post every Monday and Wednesday. Monday's a segment we call Monday Message, and Wednesday's a segment we call Wednesday's Word from the Wise. And the purpose of us just podcasting and sharing is to grow. Man, we're dedicated to growth here, and growth in all aspects of life. And so we want to provide Monday messages that are going to give you some good content to challenge you to grow and move forward. And then Wednesday's Word from the Wise, there's my opportunity to sit down with pretty cool guests and draw from their wisdom and anointing and experiences. Sometimes I do this with Wednesday's Word from the Wise, is I'll have guest speakers in who just kind of share solo. So today I'm actually doing a rerun. Pastor Sarah Grace Johnson, she's the pastor of Ministries at Freedom Church, a phenomenal woman of God. But she did this episode, Seeing People, and I think it's perfectly in line with what we talked about on Monday. If you need context for that, go ahead and check out Monday's message and check that out. Also, I want to send you a quick invite to Mountaintop. Mountaintop meets Friday nights at 6:30 p.m. We're going to be there this Friday. So come out and join us Friday, February 24th at 6:30 p.m. Mountaintop. They meet at Heartbeat Church. So you can Google Heartbeat Church. I'll also have the address in the show notes below. But I'm going to come in there and share. Go bring the house down. So I'd love to see you guys actually in person. So come and join us Friday, February 24th. All right. Anyways, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah. Sarah, give us heaven.
All right, guys, I'm super excited to be back here on the podcast this evening. This is always a great place to just share things that the Lord's been speaking, and I was telling Josue just before we started, like sometimes there's things that are so real in you, and then you try to communicate them, and it's just like, But I just believe tonight's going to be really good, and I just want to challenge you. When you have revelation, communicate it. Tell people about it. Get it out, even if you don't say it exactly like you imagined it or pictured it in your head. Just, give yourself permission to not be perfect and go for it. So here we go. So I was just driving down the road the other day, and you know how like sometimes the Lord will show you different themes and different things and then bring it all together. It was like I had a bunch of little pieces of this, and then the Lord was kind of bringing it all together. And the goal, one of the main goals of this podcast is to help you in your leadership. And so I'm really good about talking about the word and the things of God, and I love that. But I really do want to challenge you concerning the people that you're leading tonight. And you know what? You can apply this all around. But people who come through your ministry or your organization, or even just the people who are on your team, I'm going to challenge you concerning those people. And really seeing people. And so I was driving down the road, and I feel like the Lord spoke to me and said, precious things, when not positioned properly, are easily broken. And so that's a really simple phrase or whatever, but I started thinking about this, and a few years ago, I started working as a nanny. And I would pick up the kids from school and stuff and bring them home and do homework and give them a snack and all that. And I clean the house and just do a little bit of everything, right? And so I brought the kids home, and they're pulling out all their homework, and we're heating up food in the microwave and stuff. And I grabbed a couple things out of the fridge and put them in the microwave. And what I didn't realize was, so it's the refrigerator, and then on top of the refrigerator is the microwave. And what I didn't realize was on top of the microwave, there was a beautiful glass cake plate, like just super nice cake plate. And, the kind with like the lid that just fits over the whole thing. It's just a lot of glass, and it was stacked on top of those two things. And so whenever I closed the fridge, it came down, hit the floor, and shattered. This is like an open floor plan house, so there was glass in the kitchen, the dining room, the hallway, and the living room. The glass just went everywhere. And of course, like I'm trying to get the kids like out of the room without them walking, without their shoes on, and get everything cleaned up. And it was really funny. The little boy at the time, he was 6, and he was like, I don't think you're going to get fired for this. And I was like, I sure hope not. But the example is that precious things, when they're not positioned properly, they're easily broken. And in this case, the best place for a really nice cake plate isn't stacked on top of a microwave that's stacked on top of a fridge. And, sometimes people within our organizations or ministries, or just people in general, people are precious. They really are the most precious thing that we can have in our life. And when not positioned properly, are easily broken. So when you're talking about putting somebody in a position of leadership, or even just doing a certain job, you want to make sure you're truly seeing where they belong. And what I mean by this is, first of all, as an organization, a friend of mine and I were talking about this. It's like when you put someone in a place of leadership, you're putting your stamp of approval, and you're telling everyone else in the organization that to follow them. So if they choose to take that leadership in a direction that you don't agree with, or that is ungodly, or that doesn't fit with the vision of the organization, you're going to regret putting them in that place. But the truth is they are the ones really who are going to be broken. And so the whole idea of this, precious things, when they're not positioned properly, are easily broken. The whole idea of this really is just, you have to see people at their capacity, and there's going to be gifted people come through that you want to put into places and utilize that gifting, but make sure that you're really seeing people. So many people come in and out of their job every day, or in and out of church every week, just in and out of their daily lives and their daily routines, and nobody really ever sees them. And sometimes we see people for their gifting, or we see them for what they can do for us, but are we actually seeing where they're at? Let me shift gears a little bit. It's not just positioning them as far as like position in their job. It's also the place of people's position actually should be seen. Like people, where they're at in their life and world, should be seen. And a really good example of this is, I'm the next gen pastor here at Freedom. And so each week we have about 25, I'll say like anywhere from 15 to 30 teenagers come into our youth group. And, some of them just come in and out every week, and it's like they have a good time and they're there, and it's even impacting some people's lives. But I was challenging our team, are we truly seeing them? Because a lot of these kids are broken because just in the circumstances of life, they weren't loved properly. They weren't cared for properly. They weren't seen. They weren't known. They weren't positioned properly in their lives like something precious should be. And so they've kind of been run over. Another example of this is I got this really beautiful ring a couple of years ago on Black Friday. So I got it for a really good price. And, we live in Colorado and it's really cold. And so I wear gloves all the time. And so I put this ring on and it was just a little bit too big, but not too bad. And I thought I could get away with it. So I had the ring on and then I had gloves on. Well, I took my gloves off in the car at one point and set them on my lap and forgot about them. And then, I got out of the car and my gloves fell off. And I wasn't aware of any of that happened. Well, my ring had fallen off into the glove. So the next time I saw that ring, I was picking up a glove that had tire marks on it because I had ran them over, and the ring was inside the glove, totally just smashed. I couldn't even wear it. I got to wear it like 3 times. Again, it's like, it just was like, I wasn't really paying attention and it just happened. And sometimes in our leadership that happens, like we're not really paying attention to who's underneath of us or who we're working with day in and day out. Like we see them, we know them, but are we really seeing them? Like I'm not sure how to communicate, but seeing the deeper things. Like, probably all of us can relate to at some point, just kind of putting on a face, right? Like you put on your smile before you get there, and the casual, hey, how's it going? Hey, I'm great. How are you? Those types of things, right? And we can do that. We can do that all day. And so it's like, if you've done that, think about the people in your world and how they also have probably done that. And sometimes you just have to open a door to let people know that you're there. So how do you open that door, right? Because again, there's a lot of brokenness that happens and haven't always been positioned properly in their life. And so if this is a vocational thing and someone's genuinely in the wrong position at their job, it's looking for things like lack of passion and burnout and not using what they're passionate about doing. We just got done with the team meeting. Josue was saying like he just sat down with somebody who wasn't even on his team, but was actually two lines down, right? So on somebody who's on his team, they were on their team. And he was just saying, what do you want to do? Like if you could just do anything, and just hearing people's hearts and discovering who they are. So it could be like where they are, or like in the organization or in their job, actually seeing that they're positioned properly so that they can thrive. But also another part of that being positioned properly is literally just, have you been loved and seen and cared for in your life? Those are essential things. Like knowing that you're loved and cared for and seen are so essential for us as people. And so many times people miss out on that. And so we have all these teenagers come in, right? Circling back around every week. And I was just talking to one of the girls, and I could tell, she wasn't paying attention, right, during the whole thing. And it's like, as youth leaders, we want everyone to just be, focused in on the message and everybody listening. And so, but I could tell she wasn't really paying attention, was kind of talking to the girl next to her. And then eventually they just went way to the back of the room and were having full on conversation. So I went back there with this, like, I'm going to go tell them, sit in the chair, listen to the message. And it's like I got there and I just saw past the surface of everything. And I was like, well, what do you need to say? And I just started asking her, and she would share a little bit, and I would be like, what else? What else? What else? And she just came to, at the very end, like in the conclusion of everything, she was like, I just don't feel like anybody ever really sees me. And it's like, this girl in her life there's so many broken things. And it came back to, I just don't feel like anyone truly sees me. So what does it look like really to truly see people? Jesus talked about this in Luke chapter 10. I'll read a few verses. It says, a certain man came down from Jerusalem to go to Jericho and fell among thieves who stripped him of his clothing, wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance, a certain priest came down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by to the other side. Likewise, a Levite, whenever he arrived at the place, he came, he looked, and then he passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him. Let me just point out, the other two people did actually see the man, and one person even really intentionally looked at him, right? But they passed to the other side. Seeing people, truly seeing people and where they're at will move you to a place of compassion, to where you do something about it. Actually seeing people, whether they feel stuck in their job or it's just basic human needs of just feeling unloved or unwanted, just totally not acknowledged, not seen. If you truly see people, you will have compassion. I'm going to talk about what it looks like to truly see people in a minute, but I'll finish the story. So when he went to him, he bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine, and he set him on his own animal, right? He took his own resources to do this, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. So it was extra time on his journey. He was using his own resources. And then on the next day when he departed, he took out 2 denarii, gave it to the innkeeper, and said to him, take care of him, and whatever more you spend, when I come again, I will repay you. And then Jesus said, which of these guys was a neighbor to this man? And they answered him and they said, well, the one who showed him mercy. And so truly seeing people in their position in life, they're precious, and they might just be broken. They might have been easily broken because they weren't positioned properly in their life. And it's truly seeing people, and you are moving in a place of compassion towards them, right? You're taking action to do something about it. It's a lot easier said than done, because in this story, it was an inconvenience. He was spending, he took extra time and he spent extra money, and really he didn't get very much benefit out of it. And it's like, are we willing to do that for the people on our team? Are we willing to do that for the people who come in and out of our ministry or organization every week? Are we truly seeing people where they are and positioning them in a place of safety and valuing them for where they're at? Because just like a cake plate put in the wrong place, it takes one slam for everything to just be shattered. And I think a lot of times we just don't see the really broken people or the really out of place people. And it's just going above and beyond to see those things. I think it seriously is at the core of who we are to know. We want to know that we truly are seen. I think that's why in the Bible, Nathanael, Jesus said, I saw you when you were sitting under the fig tree. And Nathanael's response was, you must be the Son of God. And it's like, what kind of response is that to someone who just said, I saw you? Well, it was deeper than him seeing him with his eyes. It's like, I believe Nathanael was at a place in his life he needed to be seen. He needed to be known. He needed to know that someone saw him and acknowledged him, And it's like, sometimes it's as simple as, people want to be acknowledged or told that they did a good job. It's like, these are pretty simple things. And it's like to actually see someone and tell them that they're doing a good job. They're doing great in the position that they're in. Or just give someone a compliment. Or, it's pretty simple stuff that if we actually go out of our way to do, even though it might be an inconvenience to us, I believe we're going to see people in our life thrive. And, it doesn't matter how far into business or ministry or whatever it is that you're doing, however far you get into it, just remember it really is about the people. It's all about people. And so what you're doing for other people, how you are loving them, how you're showing them how much they're loved is a really key. It's a really key part of what we're called to do. And it's like, you might master your craft. You might make the money that you wanted to make. You might have the ministry you wanted to have. But in the end, it's like, are you raising up other people to do the same? Are you seeing them in their potential? Are you seeing how precious they are? Are you empowering them to also do other things? So those are just some things like I wanted to challenge you and truly see people. It's easy to just day in and day out, people just not really be truly seen. And so if I have a challenge for you, it would be, so we've been doing these 3-minute challenges, right? So the overall task is going to take you longer than 3 minutes, but for your first action of 3 minutes, think of somebody, pull out your phone, think of somebody on your team, think of somebody in your world who maybe you've just kind of been acquaintances with. Maybe you say hi, you guys are cordial, but it's like someone who you feel like just needs to be seen, just needs to know that you see them. So 3 minutes is going to take for you to look at your calendar and shoot them a text with the day you'd like to take them to coffee, you'd like to take them to dinner, and just sit with them and just listen and ask about them and ask what they're passionate about. Go out of your way to truly see and know somebody you wouldn't have seen and known And watch as you see amazing things happen in people's lives. Again, because things become more valuable if a precious thing is protected for a long amount of time and positioned properly. It actually becomes more and more valuable over time. So watch as you're just able to add value to people just by seeing them, just by sowing into them, just by making sure that they are properly known and loved. And so I hope this challenged you. I hope that you go out and you set up that coffee date or the dinner time just with a friend or a coworker or somebody, and take time. And I am super thankful that I get this opportunity to share with you guys, and I love you, and I will be back later. Bye, guys.